everybody had to like triple take. They're like,
oh yeah.
who? What? And I'm like, yeah, the cat's out of the bag. Actually, the cat was out of the bag way before that. They all knew something wasn't right.
But we wondered why it shifted every single time the wind blew.
Yeah, it's amazing. Every time he laughs, it's like,
right. He sneezes and it goes a little to the left.
It's the Scott and Allie Not For Air podcast. The rules are gone. The shirt is untucked. Here's Scott and Allie.
Well, welcome.
Welcome
to the Scott and Allie Not For Air podcast. Just to put this in perspective for everyone, the way that this thing's timing out, we are right ahead of our Children's Miracle Network Radiothon. So I'm going to do something I rarely do. Now, this is a very limited time, so if you're watching this podcast, say 6 months from now, this will mean nothing to you. However, if you're watching now and it's, let's say, Tuesday, March 5th, when it actually would release to the world, you could do a donation right now to the Children's Miracle Network to help the fine kids at the NICU and the PEDS department over at Ardent Health. How do they do such a thing, Allie?
They text the word kids to 71231, and then you'll get a bounce back. You click on that. That's how you can donate $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever. And new this year, you can pay on Venmo, PayPal, Apple Pay.
See, there you go.
I just tested it yesterday. I used my Apple Pay. Worked so smooth.
Perfect.
I loved it.
I wanted to do that because, even though I know a lot of people go back and watch things at different times or catch things at different places, it's still fun to be able to say, hey, you're a special group. You're getting this really before anyone else if you're watching this Tuesday, March 5th.
True.
Now, I got to ask.
What?
Am I weird?
Yes.
I have discovered something I prefer. Actually, I've known I preferred it a long time, but I'm finally going to actually just let it out, and I want to know if I'm alone on this. This comes to when you finally get around to, ordering up and eating a sub sandwich.
You had one yesterday.
Yes, I did. I have the other half today that I'm going to eat.
Yum.
So here's the thing. I've discovered now, the way this timed out for the way we're filming this today or recording, depending how you're doing this, watching or listening, this sub actually came on Wednesday, and this is now Friday, so it's 2 days old. Is it weird that I actually like a sub the next day better and or 2 days later? I prefer everything almost softer. And yes, I still have all my original teeth. This is not now where I'm gumming my sub. But I actually there's something about the flavor. I like it better. Like, I would literally think a store that's like, if they sold day-old subs,
you'd eat them up.
Which is actually a gas station. But if they did, I love it. I don't know what it is. Now, this came from a very nice sub place. It wasn't, it wasn't the gas station.
I think don't say the sub place. I think the sub place you got it from is okay. We went there 2 weeks ago, and I was just on it. But I do get what you're saying because I always get the olive oil stuff.
Yeah.
And that way it really, really soaks in too.
I mean, it's a mess to eat it, the next day. Well, actually, the way I get a sub, it's a mess to eat it anyway because I'm me. I'm like pizza. Put it all on there. Just everything, You
can't let it go too long because then it just is really wet bread.
Well, but I don't, too wet. Well, I don't even mind that so much.
Oh, no. Growing up, my mom used to make me peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And for some reason, the sandwich always ended up at the bottom and it was crushed by everything. Like, let's say there was like a can of, what would I be drinking in a can back in the day?
Something wrapped in foil from your generation.
Yes.
The can, that is.
Yes. Well, anyway, so there'd be a can. It would smush the bread. And then it would be all wet. The jelly would get super wet.
Yeah.
And I could not eat the sandwich then.
Well, but that's different. That's like just a couple pieces of white bread. There's, the sub roll usually is pretty thick. I mean, 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick, well, maybe not 2, but
the inside still can be real wet though.
Yes. I just love that whole, it maybe part of it is the theory of take things like spaghetti sauce, chili, lasagna. It's better the next day.
Oh my God, yes. And that's where my boyfriend, he doesn't like that. He's like one day and done, and then he's moved on to something else, where I will eat something for 5 days straight. By the 5th day, I'm like, oh my gosh, now it's really soaked in, whatever it is.
It's really,
the spices
you pick it up, it's a sponge.
Yeah, the spices are in there.
Yeah.
The everything's melded together so well.
So you don't think I'm really as weird as I thought I was?
No, but like I said, there's that perfect happy medium because you can't have the wet bread.
Okay, so then today is the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Today is absolutely.
All right, today's the end. Well, that's
yes.
good. Lunch is on its way shortly, so.
I'm going to take you back in time.
Yeah.
Every girl remembers when she gets her period. But
We're talking the first time, right?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. And every girl also remembers the first time she shaved her legs.
Oh.
Do you remember the first time you shaved your head?
Specifically, I don't, but I remember my reasoning behind it.
Well, yeah, but that's why I thought that would be memorable, because I thought it would be a little sad, actually.
Well, no.
Where I was so excited
So was I.
and nervous about the first
Hell,
time.
I get excited when you shave your legs now, and you're
right.
42. I mean, really, I'm like, wow, look at her. She's shaving her. I have no contact with her legs whatsoever, but I get excited for this.
Right.
You know,
Okay,
the,
so
the
you
sound
don't-
of crickets in mid-January ends.
So, but for real, you don't remember the day you did it? It
No,
didn't
but
come with a feeling?
I remember the surroundings of it. So to briefly give the history. So young Scott, when I was in my early 20s, I started to lose my hair. And that's devastating when you're a young man because when that happens, you know, and keep in mind, in the early 90s, when I was very early 90s, when I was in my extreme early 20s, like 20 to 23, around that era, and you're losing your hair, well, number one, the era was everybody had good hair, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the age of the mullet, but round one, and so it was one of those things where it's devastating because you automatically think, well, you're less attractive. And looking at me, I got an uphill battle with attractiveness. So, you know, it really hits home. So it was very tough. Now, you know, I did the hair system for a while.
Right. But did you shave to have the hair system, or you had to have some hair for the system?
They did. No, I had to have hair for the system because they'd weave it in with the horseshoe, if you will.
Oh,
and there is
okay.
nothing attractive of a 23-year-old with a horseshoe.
No.
So
You have to commit now.
Yeah. Now, for a while, when I did give up the hair system, I finally, and I'll never forget this, the first day that I walked into the radio station in Cleveland without the system on, everybody had to like triple take. They're like,
Oh, yeah.
who? What? You know, and I'm like, yeah, the cat's out of the bag. Actually, the cat was out of the bag way before that. They all knew something wasn't right.
But we wondered why it shifted every single time the wind blew.
Yeah, it's amazing. Every time he laughs, it's like,
Right. He sneezes and it goes a little to the left.
So when I finally gave it up, and I said, okay, that's good. I did try the very close kind of trim for a while, but I do remember. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I remember feeling so much better when I finally said, that's it. This is going. This is gone. I'm done with it. I'm shaving the head.
That's
and
not
went
what
from
I was
there.
expecting. I thought you were going to be so sad by it.
Very liberating because, again, with hair loss, especially for a guy, with hair loss, it's never something that you sit there and you go, I mean, there are some people that lose it towards the back more and not so much in the front, and you might have a little bit more time. But in my case, it was very much it would have been the shoe and the horseshoe. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. Not at this age. No way.
But no one told you, hey, you should just shave it. Nobody said it.
No.
You weren't
was
dating
just,
anybody at the time where they
No.
had. Okay.
But now, interestingly enough, when somebody says, I'm starting to feel like I lose my hair, I actually am the one that goes, just shave it.
Yes. So
don't fight it.
That brings me to another thing. We have a newer coworker, and he has exactly what you're talking about, where he is losing it in the back. I just noticed it yesterday. I was walking behind him. I usually walk in front of him, and because he's new, so I'm usually showing him something. So I'm like, oh, follow me. Well, it just so happens I was behind him, and I noticed he had that. But could you tell a newer employee, hey, why don't you just give it up and shave it all off?
You don't have to worry about him because, again, he's got it in the back going first. He's got more time than the person that's losing it up front, where literally you're getting the dome, if you will.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit more time with that. Also, if that coworker is the person that I'm thinking of, he keeps his hair pretty short. So I think it will... Eventually, if he sticks around long enough, let's say it takes 10 years, then it's the type of thing you could ask the question. If you just randomly walk up, hey, dude, welcome to the company. Why don't you shave your head?
Yeah, no.
Well, that might be awkward.
No, they have to say it first.
Yeah,
they have to go, oh, I'm losing my hair.
Something's got to come out before that. So,
Okay, we started out the show talking about one of our favorite charities. Now, I'm going to put that charity aside for a second for this question because I don't think it would work with the charity that we mentioned first. Scott loves pugs, loves pugs.
I have Ginger the pug now.
Yes, and she's a rescue, right?
Well, somewhat. Yeah, she was in a litter of all boys, and she's the only girl, and she was getting beat up.
Right.
It was kind of like your house when you were preteen with your brother.
Yes, yeah.
So,
that is
amazing
so true.
you didn't get adopted out.
I know. Although he always said I was adopted. He
God.
always said that my dad lived in Kentucky. Anyway, so would you, if there was a pug rescue and they really needed to make some money, would you pose nude for this favorite charity? And they said, Scott, we know if you are the one that poses nude, that you'll bring in $1 million.
Oh, sure, I'd do it.
Would you?
It's weird because I'm a very private person when it comes to
I know.
to that, and interestingly enough, I do some personal grooming, if you will, for summertime weather. Like if we're in a spot where more skin is showing, things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a very private person overall when it comes to that. But when it comes to the charity side effect of it, for something so specific, do I get to take one of the pugs home with me too?
Oh, sure. At that point, yeah.
Then yeah, I'll go all in for that. I don't know what they're gonna blur it out with. What do you do? Put a litter of puppies in front of my my front?
Oh my God.
And just there I am sitting there with that. That's kind of fun. I mean, that's dangerous because they all like to chew. They're little and they got those little teeth. So
I would do it too, and I would absolutely put kittens in front of my tatas, and then the caption would be, "Look at these sweater kittens."
Well, you got to look at it this way. Yours are moving down to your kittens, so it all.
Tell me about it.
Jesus.
And is sweater kittens an old phrase? My friend Bridget always says sweater
Can
kittens.
we bring that back? Sweater kittens?
Oh my God, I love when she says it. She says some of the most not old timey, but she says older phrases all the time. And it's so cute. And I always want to adopt them.
I do love the term. So, are you suffering from a scorching headache? You're holding your head.
No, it's because my coffee's down here and I'm leaning my elbow on there, so my hand is just naturally up.
I thought you might be leaning, giving you a headache already. I didn't know what happened.
No.
By the way, there is a chance that the podcast could get interrupted by the Crown Jewels, which is 6059's daughter. She's supposed to pick up her car that I've been driving for a week or so after an appointment. How, Scott and Allie, not for air, would that be if we have someone just randomly popping in?
Okay, well then I have to ask this question before she gets in here then.
Okay. I mean, she is of legal age, but go ahead.
I know, but no, you don't want her here for this question.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, great.
Have you ever...
I don't know if I want to be here for this question.
You probably don't. Have you ever... So speaking of being naked, have you ever made your O face in the mirror to see what your partner sees when you make the O face?
This is going to be a reason why.
I told you she didn't want to be in the room for this.
No, thank God. This is going to be a reason why I really recommend you watch this on Spotify or YouTube.
Oh, do I have to look away?
Because I think Allie and I, on the count of 3, are going to make the O face.
No, I'm not.
Yes,
no,
you should.
No,
you
I'm
absolutely
not. No,
I wouldn't
I'm not.
know. How would I know? I only know when you shave your legs.
No,
So,
I am not.
if we
You
do
go
it,
for it. I'm not doing it
unless you do it.
No, I'm not doing it.
No, if you do
I'm
it,
not
I'll do
doing
it.
No.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. I'm not doing it.
I mean, normally it's a
I
look
asked
of...
you a question. Just
I mean, if
answer
you
the
want, I
question.
could come and jam my heel into your toe. It probably looks the same.
Okay.
The face probably is very similar.
Answer the question.
What? Have I ever looked in the mirror? No, I've never
Yes.
looked in the mirror for that.
Just to see what your face looks like, to
No.
see what they see?
Not at all.
Aren't you kind of curious now?
I don't know that I want to see. I think
I
I'd rather
don't
be
wanna
naked.
see it either.
I'd rather be naked with the pugs. I don't think I want to see it. I don't. Although, why is it that you want to see it on the person you're intimate with?
Right. Exactly.
So I want to see that.
Right. Man, mine
And
better-
don't kid yourself. I do.
Mine probably looks like I absolutely am like taking a poop or something. Like when you have
Like
to
you're
bear it
bearing down? Oh,
Yes.
God.
Oh my gosh. I don't ever want. I never want to see mine.
No, that's one of those things. I think that it's better left to the other person, and God bless them for accepting me for that.
Although if you Have you ever been with somebody that theirs is so ugly or they made some atrocious noise?
No.
Did I ever tell you about the bear?
Now I'm thinking about it. That could be if it's. That's a good sign to know you just can't continue on with it if they let, I don't know, some kind of crazy squeal out or something like a.
Well, no, did I tell you about the bear?
The bear.
Yes. So I was with this guy once he made this. Okay. At the end.
It's usually where it is for a guy.
All of a sudden, have you ever watched Revenant?
Enough parts of it,
Okay.
yes.
Or you've watched like National Geographic or something like that.
Sure.
And the bears will stand on their back two legs and then like make this like kind of roaring sound.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. So he similarly, like, I don't want to say he didn't get on So he didn't get on his feet or anything like that. But definitely,
by the way, mine doesn't look like that.
But definitely propped. I don't know. But definitely propped himself erect. But you know what I'm saying? Like propped
in
himself
more ways
up,
than one.
Yes. And then his hands were like a bear's because bears have like smaller arms.
Yep.
So like his arms were up here, almost like T-Rex like, but then made this bear growling noise that I have never heard. And so then I'm just looking like, oh my God, okay. I'm not sure what to do with this.
Please tell me he has a nickname with all your girlfriends, either the
bear. Yes.
Or you could call him Grizzly.
Yes. And my one girlfriend, Lindsay, so I'm telling her about it, cackling the next day.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, because she knows him. So she's like, oh my God, I would never have thought about that because she doesn't think of him in this way. She's like, but now that you told me that, I can absolutely see him doing that. So then all next day, YouTube clips of bears growling on two legs. So now he is the bear.
The bear.
Yes,
Oh.
yes, I know. Hold on, we have to break here. We'll be back in literally 30 seconds.
Okay.
The Scott and Allie Not For Air podcast is sponsored by Allison Aesthetics. It's Allie Payne. Come along with me in my journey.
Part of my maintenance, like you guys see, I get my nails done. I get my hair done. But the lips are what make me feel good. Got to get in there. Got to get those lips done. When I started, it was like, oh, I'm just going to put a little toe in there. And now I'm like, yeah, I want to plump these babies up. So for me, like, it's been an evolution. So just wait. I was asking Jamie for the keyhole because I saw it on somebody else. And I was like, I want her lips. Give me that.
Consultations at Allison Aesthetics. So if you're considering any of these treatments, such as Botox or a little lip filler or just any skincare concern, that is something that we will always offer.
But then when I see the before and afters of the lips, I'm like, oh yeah, that looks freaking awesome.
Yep.
That is like such a difference. That's perfect. This is my self-care. This makes me happy.
I can't do that without the most ridiculous look.
Oh my gosh. And if you saw him, he kind of is bear-like, like hairy and just like
Had his paws all over you.
a bigger, bigger person. Because that was always my MO.
Yeah.
Prior to my current and last, I always dated big, hairy guys.
Yeah.
They all looked like freaking bears.
Well, you brought it on yourself.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if going to the bedroom was like, want to get irreverent.
That was so bad.
Sorry.
That was not even good.
The sequel to it.
Okay, one last question then for you. Okay, here it is. Speaking of the Levins, if an ex, now let's pretend you're not dating somebody right now, okay? Just think of yourself like a year ago, single Scott.
Okay.
Okay. If an ex, and not the one you hate, if an ex contacted you and said, hey, I really loved your D. If I send you this penis mold kit where you put the clay and all that stuff around your schlong,
Yeah.
and then it hardens and whatever, and then they send it and they create a shaky toy out of it.
Yes.
And she says, I just really loved yours.
Yeah.
Would you do it for an ex?
Yes, but
Really?
more importantly,
I wouldn't.
your dick's too personal.
Well, we'll get there. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. Now, mind you, you said put myself in a single mindset,
Yes.
That I'm not with somebody.
Yes.
So we all make decisions previous in our lives that sometimes we have to explain, and other times they were just part of our past. So in a situation where if I was single and somebody had made that phone call and said, man, that's what did it. Yes. But here's the other thing too. And again, this question only can be answered if it was a single setting, okay? I probably would say, why don't we make that mold together, help each other out with a little certain time, that, you know what I'm saying?
No.
Oh, so you don't want me, you just want part of me.
Right. She doesn't like you enough for any kind of like bringing back any emotions, anything like that.
Why does that shit have to get in the way?
This is purely just
Only
she felt
answering-
like, you know how sometimes you put on a jacket and you're like, oh my gosh, this jacket just fits perfectly. Like it covers my butt.
Yeah.
So I think that she thought about, let's call her, this is going to be
We don't need to
Taylor
attach a
from
name.
Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
So you dated like in your 20s, right? Like there's no attachment to her whatsoever.
Okay.
And she just was like, Scott, you and I fit like a glove. So that's why she thought that you would be the best candidate for this.
Well, again, answering this if I were in a single zone.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have a problem doing it. I'd
Okay.
actually feel flattered by that, to be totally honest with you. I think that'd be a very flattering thing. But I have to ask this question.
What?
Now, I'm going to spin this on you.
Okay.
You are no longer in a single zone. Now you're with somebody and things are moving along quite nicely.
And your penis is out there.
Well, that's where I'm going. Now here's the
Exactly.
thing. You have a situation where I told you, sometimes you have to answer for certain things in life. And sometimes questions come up. This is one of these kind of funny scenarios that, might come up, and I mean, it could be around a conversation where you don't necessarily need to know the number of partners someone has had, but you're like, well, we're adults. We've been around the block a few times, things like that.
Give me a
more
range.
the more mature than like, I've been with 13 people, I mean, more mature of a conversation with that. Like, look, you're not my first. I'd
Right.
like you to be my last, but you're certainly not my first, and you weren't my second, third, or however many, you leave it there.
Yeah.
I am wondering, would it bother you if you found out that a mold of my manhood was being used for what it would be used for the other person, long distance past, would that bother you?
Yes. And that's why I wouldn't do it, because then eventually I'm going to move on. I'm going to be in a relationship, and knowing that. And also because I think I have dated some people that I don't remember what they looked like in the pants. There might be like some memory of it a little bit. And maybe if you put them in a lineup, I could go, okay, that was his. But it kind of
I
just
bet you
becomes,
know the Bears.
Oh, yeah. It's not. No.
Oh,
So here's my thing: is like it almost becomes like I wipe it away from my brain. I forget it. So, but if I had a toy of somebody, then I'm never going to forget it.
Right.
So that's where I think that you have to that's got to be in the past.
Okay, so would you then, as the significant other, if you were in that situation and this came out and you're laughing, you're this and that, but then a day
course.
later it hits you, you're like, wait a minute, somebody else might have had you last night too.
Right. And, go ahead.
You know what I mean? Like, would you force me to call the person and be like, listen, this is the second time we got to break it off?
Well, and the other thing is too, because if, let's say, then I get in a relationship and the toy is there and we're in a relationship, but we're not living together. And so on the days that I'm not with him, I've got the toy, right?
Yeah, sure.
Well, then I'm putting myself like back with an ex, which also feels really super weird to me.
All right, let me ask you this. Then I'll switch it up with this. What if my manhood was so stellar and out of this world that a company called me and said, Mr. Free, we would like to
We
make
heard you're a stallion.
Yeah, we would like to make a run of, let's say, 5,000 schlongs, and we'll call it the Set You Free edition.
Oh, I love it. I love
Okay,
it.
now-
$69.99.
Yeah. Now they're out there. They're being sold at the stores, and now, I mean, what if I came to you and I told you, all right, so listen, there's the potential that 4,999 other women, potentially men too, because, look, Brave New World, right? They're, enjoying me. Would that be a different feeling?
Well, how? No. Yes, it would be. First of all,
Because it's a
how much
business
money-
at that
How much
point.
money are we going to make here?
Well, let's
And
figure. I don't know.
and-
I have never bought a portable schlong.
I just told you $69.99.
Oh, okay. So that's the price. So you're talking, do the math on this. That's almost $5,000 worth of extra cash.
Yeah.
Oh, well, wait, there's copyright. I probably made 10 grand or more off, a run of 5,000, free schweens.
You know what's so funny is I wouldn't really care if it was that because those are all strangers.
Ah, okay. It's not,
That doesn't-
but what if an ex bought it?
That's the gamble you
You
take.
just don't know.
Right.
Out of 5,000,
And I want to know what you're going to do with that $10,000 profit. If you're going to spend it on me,
Oh,
then
no.
go
I mean,
ahead.
I did this run, let's say 6 years ago, way before you got in there, but they're there. And maybe you still stumble across one, in a store. You just happen to be there. And, on the cover is my face.
I can't. Oh my God. I can't be mad at
Or
something.
no, it would look more like this. Sorry.
There it is,
See?
folks. There it is.
There was. Took a minute. That's
I
why I
can't
got to
be-
watch this shit.
Oh my God, this is distracting. I can't be mad about something that you did.
So 5,000 of my
Previously.
dicks is fine, but one is a no-no.
Well, no. If I came into this relationship and you had already sent your schlong off to your ex,
Yes.
then I can't be mad about it. But what I'm saying is I am not
That was
going
the answer to the first question that I had.
No, because I'm telling you that I wouldn't do it. Now, me as if I'm dating somebody and they did it, well, I can't be mad. That's something you
Oh,
did.
no. It would have happened before you came along.
I know.
The one-on-one would have happened before you came along. Is
I
that
get
a
that.
break off the relationship?
No,
Okay.
that's not a break off the relationship. Neither is the 5,000 people who have it too.
Okay.
Neither of those, because that happened before I came along. What I'm saying is, me personally, I am not going to do this, even if somebody was like, Allie, you were the best. It is something that I think will.
You want to save yourself for Mr. Right.
Right, and I don't
As
want to
opposed
take
to
that.
right
I
now.
don't want to take that into another relationship.
I understand what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm
All
saying.
right, I completely understand what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
but it also helps me to know that you wouldn't be mad if it happened prior to
Right, 'cause Scott's
you
gonna do
coming.
it.
What?
Because you're going to do it.
Well, no, not now. I mean, obviously, but let's say,
But for $10,000, you might.
I'm not going to lie to you. That's an interesting question too. I mean, and maybe it would actually be more than that when you think about it, because I'm sure that there's a certain amount that you would get paid for. Well, the company's got to turn a profit. I feel these numbers are off. Maybe they have to
They
make
are
a
off.
run of much more than 5,000 to make this work for the company.
All right. Then we have 80,000 women who have your toy.
There you are. Now you're talking a large sum of money coming my way. Because here's the thing is I'm not really cheating on you at all, because I'm not personally in the act. I mean, you got a silicone mold of the schween, you know?
But and honestly, when you're doing that, I'm not necessarily even thinking about the toy. I'm only thinking about either something I'm watching on my phone or fantasizing about said scenario.
Then why'd you buy mine? Go get the broomstick, for God's sake.
No, that's not the same. Oh my God. Said
all
like
right.
a man. Jeez Louise.
Whatever.
All right.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So do we have time for one more, or is that it?
Yeah, I mean, sure, go for it.
Okay, I'll give you something. I got a little piece of audio I can give you. How about
that's
that?
right. You did say you wanted to play
All
some
right.
audio. Okay, go
so
ahead.
we've run into some unique names over the years,
Mm-hmm.
and one of my favorites is ABCD. What is it? ABCD.
Are you thinking of LaDasha?
Well, yes, yeah. Oh, spell that one. That one, because the other one was
Was
Absidy.
it L-E? Was it? No, I don't remember.
Was it LE and dash?
I think so.
This was actually
A.
on a birth certificate.
Or
and
was it LE-A?
H, yeah, La Dash.
Anyway.
Or you got Absidy, ABCDE.
Yes.
Absidy, you know. Yeah. How would you pronounce this one? Do you have a piece of paper? You might need a piece of paper for this one. Tell me when you're ready.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's CVIIILYN.
CVIIIL.
YN.
Civilian?
It sounds like civilian, doesn't it?
That's how I would. Civilian.
Yeah. Well, all right.
Yeah.
This is a healthcare worker in Australia posted a video about a patients with silly names, and they get them everywhere. And I just had you spell this. Let's listen.
Very recently, we had a girl come into emergency, and the doctor was like, "How do you think you pronounce this name?" So it was CVIIILYN, and I was like, "Oh, that's easy. I really feel like that would be pronounced civilian." So he goes out into the waiting room, and he's like, "Civilian, civilian." Nothing. After a little bit, this girl stands up and he's like, "That's me, and I think that you mean Caitlin." So then she proceeded to tell everybody, she was pretty unimpressed, that the VII in her name was actually Roman numerals, so that was an 8. So her name was Caitlin.
Oh my God. It's getting out of hand.
Yeah, but that's actually like a smart version. Like ABCDE, Absidy is not exactly what I would call the pinnacle of intelligence.
But you're going to put numbers in your name? I'm sorry, are we a driver's license or a license plate?
I don't disagree with you, but it's weirdly interesting that is.
My God.
I would have never gotten it. Never would I have gotten it.
Neither would I. And honestly, you can't be mad about that.
No, not at all.
Oh
not
my
at all.
gosh.
All right, that's what I got.
All
Remind me next week to get in what the hell is Doug doing in his car every single day, multiple times. We've got to analyze this.
I'm curious because, yes, I want to talk more about this because of the film.
The film?
Yep. I'm saving it for next week.
You got something I didn't even notice.
I'm saving it for next week.
Already next week, we know what we're getting into. Why is Doug in his car all the time?
Bye.
Well, that was fun. Wasn't that fun? That was fun. Do us a favor, will you? Subscribe. Share the Scott and Allie Not For Air podcast. Touch our buttons. We know you want to.